Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Harihi Om.
That which we call the outer world is perfect. This which we call the inner world is perfect. Each one filled with divine consciousness. Perfect comes from perfect. Take perfect from perfect. The remainder is perfect. Divine consciousness is non-dual. Anything that emerges from the divine consciousness is whole, is complete, is Purna. May peace and peace and peace be everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate.
Hi friends, I am Irmila and I welcome you all to yet another episode of the Purnamada series, season 2. As we all know, the series is showcased on personalized stories of individuals who have used past life regression therapy as their modalities to make their life more comfortable and ailment free with all the kind of disease and illnesses if they have or any kind of worries they have. I welcome Dr. Jain to the show, and she needs no further introduction. Dr. Jain is a past life regression therapist and a pioneer in this in India. She has helped heal more than thousands of people with their past life experiences and their lives in many, many ways. She has conducted Ras Pichle Janam Ka and brought awareness about past life regression into the mainstream. I welcome Dr. Jain to this show of Purnamada.
Thank you, Urmila.
Joining
Welcome
her
to
is
you.
Komal. She is a young, vibrant, and a beautiful soul from Ludhiana. Komal is a brand strategist by profession, graduated from Xavier's College, Mumbai, with a background in advertising, literature, psychology, and media science. Working with a Swiss company at the moment as a brand strategy head for Asia Pacific region, and is also running her own company, House of Orenda. Her main forte is in the luxury, fashion, and healthy lifestyle industry as a branding expert. She teaches advanced level English and IELTS as a hobby. She has immense love for traveling and enjoys reading and hibernating in her own nest from time to time. Her story is a fascinating one bordering on what defines normal. Her seemingly perfect life suddenly turned topsy-turvy when Komal shifted to a heritage house in Mumbai. What follows was a series of health reversals and professional setbacks. How she overcame these challenges through past life regression therapy makes fascinating listening, which I would encourage Komal to narrate to our viewers. I welcome
Surely.
Dr. Jain and Komal. Over to
Thank
Dr.
you
Jain.
so much, Sri.
Yes, welcome Irmila and welcome Komal. So Komal,
Thank
let's
Thank you so
start
much,
at the
ma'am.
let's start at the very beginning. Shifting to Bombay. So what was that house that you shifted into? Can we get some insights on that house?
Yes, ma'am. It was a dream come true sort of a house. I suddenly got admission in Xavier's, which never came to me, as a normal admission call. And I got a quick call saying that, okay, so we haven't received your fees and you are supposed to join tomorrow. And I said that my name never came in the list. So all my, family members and I wondered whether I've not gotten into the college and maybe I should look for, another year because I was sure that I would get into this college only. So there's nothing about, having another option. It was only wait. So they said, no, your name is there and you quickly deposit your fees and you just reach here by tomorrow. In all excitement, I told my brother, called him up and, discussed it with my dad. Okay, we need to arrange the fees. It has to be done like today. Everything was done quickly and I was right there in Mumbai and attending my first class. From the airport, it was straight to the class, first, lecture. And interestingly, I was very particular about what kind of place I want to stay in, and everything manifested just the way I wanted. I stayed at an 100-year-old property in Kolaba area. It was beautiful, with Victorian house made, laden with Victorian furniture and everything beautiful. Imagine it was just wow. But it was like the devil knocking the door, and everything turned upside down after I shifted there. My health started deteriorating from the second week itself. I got really bad throat congestion that my voice was almost gone and I couldn't speak. So took many medications, still no use. It took me about 2 weeks to recover from that. And then hypothyroidism and I don't know what all sort of, throat related things started coming up. So after that, the lady in the house was very much, keeping me over there because I really took care of her. She was alone in the house. So as our parents teach us that, if there's somebody in the house who's elder, take care of them. So sometimes that care really gets back at you, they think that this person should stay with us permanently. That sort of thing happens. So quickly, kind of wrapping it up, I'd say that my health saw the worst, in that house, and every second day I would have some accident or something or the other happening. So I decided that I need to move out of the house. It was very difficult because again I was in the clause, and I took reform and refuge in Japji Sahib because that was the only part which I knew properly. And I said that I'm just going to do that. So morning, evening, I used to just do Japji Sahib, and I think it really brought that strength in me that I just ran out of the house. I took help of 6 of my classmates and I said I need to move my stuff out of the house. And again, I got a very beautiful house. I lived on Marine Drive throughout my college days. It was wonderful. But yes, even after coming out of that house, my health didn't stop going back.
Okay.
So yeah, that is the story about the house and, how Mumbai really, kind of pushed me towards the limits of my health.
Okay. So at what
Yeah.
point did you think that you need to do some healing work? Because the symptoms started, then you continued staying in Bombay. So you
Yes.
shifted the house, you shifted the residence. So at what time, in which year rather, did you start feeling that you need some healing because the symptoms would not go away? Can you talk a little bit on that?
Sure, ma'am. I was 21 when I got these sort of things which were coming to me. And when I shifted to a new house, a dream came. And in that dream, I saw very deep, issues with my body. And that was very very elaborate and almost like a new birth after that dream happened. And that dream changed everything. After that dream, it was really a cycle going down in everything, in every aspect.
Okay.
So after the
So
dream,
Komal,
one issue,
can
second
you,
issue, third issue,
correct. So can you specify the dream? What exactly did you see in the dream?
I saw my own depth in the dream, and
Your
bit
own
by
death
bit,
in
felt,
the dream.
yes,
Okay.
it was not in any accident or anything. It was nothing disturbing as such, but it was a very natural death, and the death was very intense. It I felt every cell of the body dying. I saw every cell shutting down. It was a complete experience of how a body would die.
Okay.
So obviously till then I'd never experienced something like that. I always had deja vus. I always had those sort of experiences in the childhood. Interestingly, my mom gets a lot of ancestral dreams. So I don't know, maybe it's just the continuation of that or what it is. I can't really pinpoint that at this point in time. I'm still figuring that part out. But
Okay.
yes,
So
in
just
dreams, I really
so,
do get a
so
lot of
just to
messages.
summarize, you shifted to Bombay to study. You lived
Correct.
in a
Yeah.
heritage home for some time. You started having your health issues at that time. You decided to move out,
Yes.
continuing to stay in Bombay, and then you got a dream.
Yes.
And in that dream, you
Yes.
see yourself dead. Not only that, but you start experiencing that
Yes.
every cell of your body is dying and your body is shutting down. And post that dream,
Yes.
your symptoms started getting
Absolutely.
exaggerated.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So
Yes.
what were these
Absolutely.
symptoms?
Absolutely.
What were these symptoms that you started getting post the dream?
In Mumbai itself, I was doing also 1.0. I was doing excellent in all the other areas. It was only health specific. Nothing else was really that bad. It was all right, or it was good. There was nothing to worry about when it was my career or anything. Everything was going absolutely fine. So I started working, and that I think it was about 2 to 3 years after that that I suddenly had swelling in my body, and it was one Christmas Eve. I was at a party, and suddenly I was not able to climb the stairs. I was wearing heels, so I removed my heels and I tried to walk, but I couldn't walk even. I couldn't take even one step up. So I froze there. And then with the help of my friends, I came down and I came back home. And I remember till the New Year's Eve, I was totally on bed. Even going to the washroom was a big trouble. And the whole body experienced something which I never had experienced before. It was in pain all the time. So from there, again, I was at the peak of my career and I built a brand of my own along with a couple of people. And we were doing really well. The brand had gone till the World Ethical Fashion Forum and was about to participate in London Fashion Week. So I was at that sort of a peak. And there, this thing happening really crippled me and, kind of ripped me off my dreams, which I wanted to achieve. I couldn't travel outside the country at that point in time because I was in pain all the time. So from there, the diagnosis of fibromyalgia came in front, chronic fatigue, MS, all those things just, kind of continued. I had a very sluggish endocrine system according to the doctors, and I got autoimmune issues to deal with as well. So it was amalgamation of so many things all at once. Also, you kept, adding up. So there was arthritic symptoms, there were osteoporosis along that. It was scary to even listen to these terms because I didn't really know, what all of this meant. So much research, googling around, studying, on the topics. I even bought medical books to study on my own because deep inside, the most important note is that felt that mine.
Mm.
This is not mine. It's not me. It's not mine. So this continuous thought at the back of my mind kept telling me that I have to fight this and this problem is not mine. When the doctor said that you are going to have to deal with it, live with it, you know how doctors say that, this problem is going to stay with you. You can only manage it. There is no cure yet. You can only, kind of subside the symptoms. You can take these sort of, narcotic drugs sort of a thing to calm down the symptoms, prescribed ones, of course. But again, I never even took one tablet, going in that area, because I always felt this is not mine and I don't want to trouble in any way. I only took the path of healthy eating and improving my diet. That was the only thing that I, took resort to.
Right. So
But in deep
this
pain, so I
statement,
knew that I needed some help.
correct, Komal. So this statement that you just made, you had a feeling that this is not mine. This belongs to somebody else or something else. But this sickness or this illness or what was happening to you does not belong to you. Am I right?
Correct.
Right. So
Bilkul.
Komal,
Absolutely. This is the thing that I.
correct. So when you realize that this does not belong to you, what did you start doing? Because that's when you start searching. So where did you go to search?
I tried to search on natural healers. I tried talking to, obviously, my parents tried talking to various doctors. I remember visiting almost 17 doctors in that particular city itself. And it was the 17th one where I said no, that it was the head of endocrinology department in Max Hospital who said that, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. And, you can only figure out how to manage it. I was so broken, and I felt that no, this or these doctors or even Ayurvedic doctors, I felt that no, this is not the path that help would come.
Right.
But I was so much in pain, I decided to come back home, come back to my parents, and because I was not able to continue with work, day-to-day life became very, very difficult. So it was only after coming back home that again a dream came, and I got the word Akashic in my mind. And at that point, I was really curious what this Akashic means. So from there, the healing journey started. From there, you came in my life, and from there, past life regression came in my life, and from there, everything, and now it's all smiles.
Right, right. So obviously, viewers, sometimes medical science is baffled by what the person is going through. But of course, medical science has its own, advantages. But as far as Komal went, it did not help her. And so she started searching and seeking. And like she says, that she thought of past life therapy. So, how did the thought come to? Again, it came to you in your dreams, Akakshik, and you thought, what is Akakshik?
In
And
my
let me
dreams.
just
Yes.
find out more about it. So, how did past life therapy strike to you then?
I started searching for Akashic, and Akashic records came to my mind. And when I searched for Akashic records, past life therapy was mentioned there. And I recall this watching your show Raj Display Janam, and I thought, okay, I know someone who will be able to help. And like I said, once I decide who is going to be or where I have to be, then I can wait, but that's what I want to do. So it was just like that.
Right.
So I just wanted to meet you, and I knew that it was an answer from within that it's going to be you. So I called up somebody who was linked with you, and she said that you're gonna come tomorrow, like the day after, when I spoke to her at night, to my own city. I was back home in Ludhiana, and for you to be in Ludhiana was a shock itself to me. That how this is happening. So it was divine intervention, divine definitely.
Yeah.
And I met you the next morning, and we had 2 days of mystic journey with you, and I experienced 3 lifetimes in that too. Though I was very logical, I even spoke to you that I'm being so logical that I'm not able to go deeply into trance. But again, I knew that my answer has to come from you, and I joined you for the therapist program itself, and I felt that I know that I get my answer, and I'll be able to help others also, because by that time I was totally into healing. myself and others as well, because I was able to help people at least manage their symptoms, those who were suffering just like me.
Right, right. So
So
this
yeah,
is what
from
happens.
there,
I mean, when you're sick and you reach out to people, then you learn many things, modalities. You also manage your health, like you also did. You managed your health very well. And so let us jump into that session,
yes,
which I
the
want
session,
viewers
yeah,
to know about, how the healing really started. And so let's
absolutely.
talk about that beautiful session that you had. And then, so talk a little bit, like थोड़ा ना विस्तार से बताओ कि how was that session, what did you experience, and post that session, how did the healing start? That's important.
Ma'am, I think you remember that almost it was the seventh day. It was the last day when my session took place, and we were all, even people who joined me during the therapist program, they became my really good friends, and they saw me in pain. So they were talking to you that okay, please do Komal session as well. And I remember because I was so much in pain, and they could see that that I really need help, but somewhere we felt that okay, the right time when it is to happen. And I remember you telling us in the session that you had an astral travel and you were guided to take my session that day. And I was like, okay, so this is again linked to some dream or something in your case too. So again, the pattern was similar.
Yeah.
And my session was really fascinating. And when I spoke to my roommate also, she said, I said, do you have any comments to make on my session? She said, please say that I was really scared when I heard, what you went through. So that
Mm.
was the first reaction because it was such. So in the beginning, I had tender points all over my body, and I remember you poking one of the tender points here with a spoon, like you exaggerated that point, and I went into really deep trance from there. And all suddenly the lifetime flashed, and when you were poking here, I felt a knife, in that state when I shifted, my consciousness was shifted in the other realm. I felt a poking over here, and it was the point of a knife. And the first, when question was asked, what can you see? The first thing I saw was a bowl full of blood. And after that, it was everything became very, very clear. I was very visual in the session, and I saw a princess sitting on the throne, and it was a very lavish Egyptian palace. It was in Egypt, and really, really long time back, because I saw some maps being made which were decoding the construction of some structures which looked similar to a pyramid. But I also felt during that time that there was no pyramid which actually existed at that time. So the father of the princess, that I saw myself as the princess, and the father was dealing with the intricacies of some graphs which were getting discussed at the other end of the courtyard. So in that courtyard, interestingly, that princess was a healing princess.
Mm.
And a lot of people had come over there for healing. And so there was no spoken dialogue there. It was all telepathic. If somebody would come, they would just stand there in front, and this healing princess would see everything and sense everything, and she would just heal the person right there. So now how this healing happened is really interesting and third, and totally, I would say, like Irmala ji said, that bordering the normal. It's something absolutely astonishing. So I like to share how this particular ritual was in
Mm.
place. And what happened was that if somebody would come, so the princess would poke the knife on one of the finger or the thumb, and one drop of blood would come. So she would take the blood like this on the
Mm.
and she would just put it on her tongue and let it close her eyes and let it be there for a couple of seconds, and take the blood off and put it in that bowl of blood which was kept right next to her.
Mm.
And then there was a bowl of milk, and there was a paste, green color paste, which was kept there. So the paste would be put on the person's thumb where the poking had happened, and the princess would just put her thumb in the milk and, kind of put the milk drop on the tongue too. So it was a very vivid and very elaborate sort of a ritual which would take place. And the person would be totally free from whatever problem the person had. And it was intense since morning till night. It was all this happening. The princess had started doing this at the age of 3, and that was one thing which she was doing all the time. So I saw my current family being, the queen and the king, my mother the queen and my father itself the king, and my brother was there as my brother itself, who was going to be the crowned prince and crowned king after my dad. So in that lifetime that I was. So from here, the ritual after this would go towards the prayer room, and the princess would go to the room and pray to the sun god or the universal power. So basically, I didn't see any deity, or I couldn't experience anybody, in any form, but it was the universal energy which was being worshipped at that point in time. So the time was definitely somewhere before 2306 BC. That's what I felt. It was before that, and there was no defined timeline during that time. So the time was not given a definition of BC and AD at that point in time. And the language was very clear to me. I could understand that language when I was in trance. I could understand all the symbols. I remember you telling me to draw a few symbols, and I was able to draw them. I was able to understand what was written on those graphs which were being discussed. It was something called a Habish sort of a language. I'm still trying to find. It's very interesting that even in scriptures that I'm able to find online, there are a lot of common ones, but a lot of symbols are not there. But I exactly know the meaning of them, and I think I will be able to kind of find them once I visit some libraries or some ancient texts. I think that's where I'll find more answers to this sort of curiosity of mine. But coming on to the ritual again, so the prayer would be performed.
Sorry,
Do you still have those symbols?
I do have. I have them written, and I'll share them on the screen over here. And
interesting.
During the session when she asked me to draw them, so I did. So it's very roughly written, but yeah, it's there. Well, because I was able to access, that language. It's so beautiful that when you have a PLR session, you can almost relive that lifetime again and get all the powers back. So I felt so powerful. I felt I have so much, divine powers actually came in the hand. So it was like, okay, can I just bring them all here in this lifetime? I don't know. Maybe you should really guide us on that, whether we can access them or not.
Yes.
But I think somewhere it has come. In some form, it has come in this lifetime too. And especially after the session, some bits of it has been there with me after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to the evening ritual. So a prayer would be performed where the blood would be now from a tiny bowl. It was like this big bowl, and it was transferred in that. And after the prayer, the blood would turn into some weird sort of huge, gigantic flowers of blood red color.
Okay.
Which were later discarded, before the sunrise. So every 15 days, there was an even more elaborate sort of a prayer which would take place. So yeah, this was the ritual this sort of healing. I don't know what, used to happen at that time. I mean, it's strange for, our consciousness, something like that, but I felt very close to that character, and I could sense myself in a body, and I could experience everything she was experiencing.
Yeah, but Komal and Irmila, they say that 525 BC, that is between 3300 to 525 BC, is when in Egypt health became something that doctors would work on. So ancient practices of health related started developing at that time. And they also say that I think she also saw a time where time was not being measured the way we measure it today. Right, Komal? Because I think you also were speaking about there was nothing like a clock or
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes.
right? Yeah. So they say that in ancient
No,
Egypt,
it's
they used
all
to,
sunrise, sunset.
correct. So in ancient Egypt, I've just got some information here which says that time would be measured by the level of water left in the bowl, and marks on the inside of the bowl would provide the time. That means how many minutes or how many hours have passed. And
Yes.
another type of water clock had a float in the water. So as the float possibly went down, they would understand that so much of time has gone by. Because she spoke about at that time bowls and stuff like
Yes.
that, which were kept. So
Yes,
maybe there
ma'am.
was some way in which time was also being measured at that time.
Yes.
And they also say that, ancient Egypt may, uh, they thought that gods, demons, and spirits played a key role in causing diseases. Now, it is
Yes, ma'am.
possible.
Absolutely. I felt that. Yeah.
Yes, that's also something that I remember you speaking. And the
Yes.
other very interesting thing, Komal, that you've shared with me is the picture that you made later on. You just shared the picture, the
Yes.
drawing that you did. So I'll be showing that
Yes.
drawing. Can you just explain something about that drawing that you sent me? It had a human
And that
figure and it
human
had these
figure.
little knots and nodes and some kind of channels
Yes.
moving. Can you explain that?
Ma'am, those channels were, ma'am, when I felt the pain in the body, so that was what the pain was. It was moving all over the body, all my nerves and, all the nerve ends. If you can see, the nodes are actually nerve ends, which I felt. And
Right.
the pain was, kind of doing like this. It was some DNA structure, which I also saw. And a whirlwind sign sort of a thing is also there. So all these things came to my mind during the session. One is before the session, it's in the purple color image, in which again
Yes.
that sort of a structure is drawn, but it's not. It's only in purple color. But
Yes. So,
after the session, what I saw, it's all multicolor, but so much of it. It's become
right.
more dense.
So, this is
So
another.
it was interesting that before the session,
Uh,
I what I drew, and after the session what I drew are very similar, yet giving many answers.
correct. So, interestingly, when I was actually researching on this, what you have just drawn, it says that in Egypt, uh, the priest used to
Hmm.
put their hands on certain parts of the body when they were examining the heart. And they said that all the vessels, because you're talking about blood, okay, so all the vessels would come out from the heart, and they have a theory which is that the whole body has filled with channels.
Yes,
If you see
channels,
the
ma'am. This was
drawing,
the word that I was searching for.
right, so
Channels.
right, so this
Yeah, and
theory is in Egypt.
they also believed that all these disease were, I mean, all the channels were blocked by these demons and all
Correct.
these things which caused the disease.
Absolutely
Yeah,
right. So if you
yes,
read about it, they actually speak about the heart as the source, and each
yes,
part of the body, the particular energy flow is moving in all these kind of channels. And they've actually said about the nose, one channel goes, and then the heart and the lungs and the nostril, there are four different channels, and that the human body has four major vessels, and then there are in the eyes there are four vessels. So what Komal has drawn, okay, prior to the therapy was a channel which is black and white. And then post the therapy, when she drew, when she felt better that the flow had increased in these channels, she's drawn it multicolored.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we're going to show that photograph. So this is the photograph that Komal has drawn. So that's very interesting, and it actually supports what is being written about Egyptian doctors and Egyptian, medicine. And
yes.
interestingly, it's thousands of years ago we are talking about
They
this, you
were the
know.
first, Ma, very ancient.
Very ancient,
Yeah, very
very ancient.
ancient. They were the
Yeah.
first for
So
all
these are
these.
the rituals that Komal would have in that lifetime as the
Yeah.
princess healer doing these various rituals. So that's very interesting. So Komal, you experienced that
You know, there
lifetime.
was a lot of divine powers which
Yes.
was felt. So
Yes.
maybe because of the kind of rituals and the prayers, and so some sort of power, would come to one person, and they would take the responsibility of the whole plan. And I could see thousands and thousands of people. I was kind of wondering, was there so much population back then? And I was like,
Yes.
okay, but I could see it, so there
Yeah.
must be. I don't know, maybe they had traveled
Yeah.
all the way or something.
Yeah.
So when you see it, it's also you're doing a question answer with yourself. And
Right.
I was almost like in the Sejura of my life, where I wanted, okay, that I've lived that octave of my life and I wanted some answer. And then I would, start living the next, part of my life. So I was stuck there at that one point in time. And this lifetime really gave me the answer.
Yeah.
It,
But I
it
want
told
to
me that,
ask something, Komal, because generally
yes,
people
ma'am.
who've seen lifetimes as healers or, in this kind of work, generally have other lifetimes also that they experience in the same workspace. So have you
True,
experienced,
ma'am.
because we know that Greeks, Romans, and people in Egypt, all
Yes.
of them had a lot of ancient customs and rituals that they used to do. So have you had a lifetime in Greek or Roman era also?
Ma'am, interestingly, during the 2 days of the mystical journey, and also after that, I'll just come to that point
Hmm.
that how after the session,
Hmm.
but in that time also, during those sessions, whichever life I visited, till now, apart from one lifetime, 7 or 8 lifetimes I've seen, they are all as some form of healer or the other.
Right.
Interestingly, one lifetime I saw myself as I spoke to you about this word Crescentius, and I was able to find out it was in the 4th century AD and 11th century, 1140 and 4th century. I couldn't understand how I'm seeing two different times, which upon searching, I figured out that it was in Rome, and in the 4th century, Saint Crescentius existed, who was later on given a different robe. So there's some custom in Christianity which I would share with you, maybe to kind of showcase over here, in which they kind of take the body out of the grave, and there's some sort of a ritual which they do. So that was done in 1140 AD. So that is what, so the soul was maybe connected in the body. So I saw two different times,
Right.
in that body.
Right.
And then there was one as again a healer, again from some royal family in Greece at that time, as a Greek person, and that was trying to hunt down these dark and occult, sciences which were used during that time to harm people.
Hmm.
So at that point in time, I felt that there were these mummies made, and I was scared in that body that my body would be misused. So the body vanishes within the earth to
Right.
protect from any harm happening, or any advantage being taken
Right.
from the body.
Right.
So interestingly, all the lifetimes have been, mostly 90% of them have been as some form of a healer or the other. Even related to this pandemic, there is something interesting that I saw as a shamanic sort of a person. It was 303 BC,
Okay.
and in during that lifetime, I saw myself. I even know my name. It was Zalda.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was married to a person called Nimba. So Nimba and Zalda were taking care of the whole tribe. And in that lifetime, the death happens by taking the plague sort of a fever, which was spread all over the place. It was taken upon, and that's how the body dies in that lifetime. It was quite elaborate. That
Interesting.
lifetime was also quite elaborate. So it was
Yeah.
mainly healings, and as a form of some form of healer with
Yeah.
some divine parts in all the lifetimes. So I wonder if, we had more access to the divine, and, we had more access to being so close to God that, we got these sort of powers in us so easily, or maybe, yeah, not easily, but we had these powers, during those lifetimes, which
Yeah.
I feel the access has become little difficult in these lifetimes.
Yeah, because Komal, in those lifetimes, there was, we were more, intuitive, and we were also very close to nature. So that's the reason
There's
that
a
we
there's a
were,
very important role nature plays in all these. Yeah.
yes. So that is why possibly healers were able to access that kind of energy and even heal people. So interestingly, Komal, you've had a number of lifetimes as a healer, and in those periods, healing was not as it is today, right? There was
True.
a lot of
Absolutely not at all.
there was a lot of occult work that also went into healing.
Yes.
So it is possible that the soul has carried that kind of energy, and now in a physical body that you are living in this particular era, it is
Yes.
not able to adjust to the kind of food that you're eating or the pollution that is there. So you've become very hypersensitive to things. Do you feel you are hypersensitive to food and other things?
When when you just said that, I was like, okay, click, like click, click, click on all the points, because I'm very conscious of how I eat.
Hmm.
It came to me like that I don't like to eat pesticides. I think everyone around me knows that. Whoever knows me would vouch for that. That I'm so particular about what I eat, what goes in my body, and no preservatives, no chemicals, and eating natural. Even I don't like to eat in steel plates, or because I like something earthy to eat in. So I would say, okay, let me eat in. And I'm also very particular about what kind of vessels I eat in, what utensils I use, what sort of, all these things are
Yeah, yeah.
very clearly defined for me. That it has to be healthy. Living is a passion of mine, and I
Correct.
study a lot on that, and also try to be, bring people on this sort of a level too,
Yeah. So
because
post
of
the
so
session,
many
Komal,
chemicals and everything we have in
correct.
our food, and I
So,
that
so post the sessions, how is the
yeah.
healing kind of progressed after all these healers' lifetimes? How has your healing progressed?
Ma'am, I would like to talk about it in two parts. So the
Okay.
first part was immediately after the session. My pains actually increased immensely, which was strange. Only that night, I remember we went out, all of us, for dinner, and it was so much fun. I felt so light and amazing, and I had a different spark in my eyes when I looked at my photographs.
Hmm.
But after that night, my pain really increased. So it was 6 months after that I struggled a lot with my health. 3 months I was almost on bed,
Hmm.
and I started questioning whether these thoughts come to your mind, these doubts come to your mind, because physical pain cripples you, and it makes you think, it makes you question everything around you, because you're not able to make sense of anything which is practical. So I suffered a lot, and at that time, whoever I contacted, apart from you, I remember telling you that I got in touch with somebody who helped me with sound therapy, but my pain increased, and you said that maybe just let it be for now, and I took that as a signal, and I actually felt that I should not touch it.
Hmm.
So sometimes you just have to endure, you just have to wait, and you just have to go through, that period, and really have the perseverance to, see a better day. But hope becomes difficult at some point. So I
Yes.
had a very difficult time. I had fevers coming up. And after that, there was a sudden Spiti trip which happened. I took a solo trip to Spiti, which actually cut me off from everyone. And like you said, I needed to go back to earth. I needed to go back to purity. I needed to be in touch with real nature. And I think on earth, those high mountains are the only place which are left a little, natural. So that's where healing again started. And when I came back from that trip, it was a very difficult trip for me to take, because I was not completely well. But nothing happened to me when I was there. I was absolutely fine. In fact, I saw people struggling with breathing and oxygen issues. But
Mm.
I was like, I'm in my own land. So it felt like I can exist here so easily. It was minus 30
That's
degrees over
that's
there, and
amazing.
I
Amazing.
felt home. I
Yeah.
felt there's nothing that can stop me now. So I came
Irmala,
back,
huh,
and
I
the
So
think
first part
I think
was,
Komal, what you're talking about, the natural, the nature healing you, I think Irmala can also vouch for that. How
yes,
nature has healed her. Irmala, can you
yes,
vouch for that?
yes, totally. In fact, when she was speaking about her body pain, I was thinking about how it happened with me as well. Yes,
Yeah.
very true.
And
And
how
it's
you also got into the change of food and exercise and
yes.
swimming, and and you started healing yourself. Yeah,
In fact,
so
I was
yeah.
discussing with Komal, on a call a few hours back, and we were discussing the food habits. And she said, "I can't eat spicy and masala." And I said the same
yeah,
thing with me. I can't eat. I mean, I like to eat something that is bland, not
Yeah.
a lot of masala. So yes, Ma, what you're saying is right.
something natural, something which
Something
retains
natural.
the flavor. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, that's
yes.
so true. Yeah, go on,
I want
Komal.
to ask you
Yeah,
one thing,
well,
Komal. You finish. Do these dreams still come and do they still heal you in a way? How is it? I'm very, I want to know because you had told me you tune into your dreams and they help you in healing and stuff like that. So I want to know if you finished your
I
thing. I
was
want
going
to
to
know
come
about it.
on the second part, Edmund. Yeah, yeah. The second part is about that how the healing is still happening. And I have had three very strong, distinct dreams with ma'am in it. And I asked ma'am whether she is consciously aware that she came in my dream. And it was strange. I had to, it always happens that whenever I have to meet her just before, a few days before, 10 days before, I have a dream with her. She actually was in my dream and she regressed me within the dream. I had seen another lifetime with her taking within the dream. So it was beautiful. So I still keep having a lot of health issues time and again, which are not mine again.
yeah.
So those health issues don't trouble me anymore. They don't trouble me the way they used to. There was one,
Mm.
disturbing issue which I had, which had affected my spinal cord. And the X-ray came and it said that it's a degenerative disease of the spinal cord and it's going to be a lifetime sort of a disease. When I searched upon it, I almost had tears in my eyes saying that, okay, another thing to deal with, that pain was there. Okay, I've been through so much, done with fibromyalgia, MS, and chronic fatigue. Now another thing which is degeneratives or all those terms, disturbed me. Magically, that night, ma'am came in my dream and I had a regression. I don't remember that very well. I'm sorry. I should have written it down, but it was the first time that dream happened. So after that, I've started writing down. So it was the first time, and I was regressed, and I saw some lifetime which gave me the answer for my problem. And we even met the spirit guide again, ma'am, and the spirit guide guided me. You will believe it or not, next day my X-rays, the one which I saw the day before, and the next day the X-rays were changed. The disease was gone. Within 3 days, I was absolutely fine. I went to confirm to another person that I need an answer for, I need another X-ray for my spinal cord. The person in charge just said, I'm not very confident with doing back X-rays. I'm like, come on, you have this whole setup. You're not confident, then why have you put this all up? But it was an answer. Again, wait. It was weight which I had to do, and within 3 days, I was absolutely fine. And again, everyone was shocked that where your pain went because I was not even able to put a finger on that point. It was so painful that slight touch also would make me scream.
Right.
So yeah,
So,
that was
so
one more
basically, yeah,
problem knocked off.
correct. So basically, Komal, you've had some healing done. healing is not completely complete because you seem to fluctuate a lot, right? But every
Yes.
time it kind of aggravates, you have a dream, and in the dream you start getting answers, some healing starts taking place, and then you're quite fine, and then you have some other
Yes.
problem, and then again in the dream there's some healing that continues, right? Am I right? That's what you're trying to say?
Ma'am, I think, yes, ma'am. I also want to say over here that it's not that your problems just vanish at times. The problem is there, but I don't get troubled by the problem anymore. It's not crippling me anymore, and it's very fast. The healing is not lingering on for years, and it
Right.
doesn't disturb me anymore now. It doesn't bring that sort of sadness and hopelessness in me anymore. I'm very hopeful. I'm super positive, and I know that I'm going to deal with it. And I feel so close to the divine power now that I'll just have a word with the divine, and I know that I'll get the answer. It's that sort of confidence. I think PLR brings you closer to your own faith. It brings out a different light in you. You're able to answer yourself on so many grounds. All that we have read or we have been taught, you get clarity on everything because experience is above, all that is written. Once you experience something, once you experience a different dimension, once you are in that different dimension and you're able to access it time and again, it really opens you up to the huge, universe that we live in, that we can really have in our hands to heal, to live the life we really want, and to be to that life which we have got over here.
That's lovely, Komal. It's a lovely summary that you have just done. I
All
just want,
these
Irma,
pains,
question
huh?
you have?
all,
Any question?
all these pains that she has, she keeps saying these are not mine.
Yes.
So you mean to say she's got it from those life, the healer life that she was in,
Ah,
or
you know, Irmila and Komal, when we have these healers lifetime, um, we also come in contact with people who are sad, sick, diseased, and at some level, when you're a healer, deep down, you just want others to get better.
True.
So when you have that mindset that you want others to get better, somewhere, if you are not, let's say, kind of evolved enough, you take that pain. You take the pain of people. Now, Komal has experienced various lifetimes as a healer, right? In Egypt, Greece, Rome. These are ancient lifetimes. And in ancient
Yes.
lifetimes, healers use different kind of modalities, right? So it could be, demonizing, exorcism, like she said, taking out blood. It's called bloodletting. That's one of the ancient ritual that people used to do. Okay,
Mm.
so we've been through these healers' lifetimes, right? In which we were in different cultural setups and we used different kind of methodology. Like she said, prayer was something
yeah,
that she would be using
Mm.
also, and other kind of modalities. Some of them, um, maybe sometimes we were seen as uh, occult people, magicians, witches. We don't know how many of those pagan lifetimes, medieval lifetimes. So we are carrying that kind of sanskara. Right now, many healers may not be affected today, though they must be healing,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
But possibly with Komal, she's still having those sanskaras with her in her astral self. Why I'm saying astral self? Because she's talking all the time about dreams. Yeah, she has a dream in which she's visiting, or maybe she feels I'm with her or somebody else is with her, right? And there is some communication taking place in the morphospace. Morphospace means
Yes.
this entire universe. All right, now we know that, Carl Jung, the psychologist Carl Jung, also spoke about collective consciousness.
Yes.
So when she is dreaming, she's obviously accessing the collective world and collective consciousness would be at the soul level, at the astral level, right?
Yes,
So there
yes,
is
ma'am.
some communication happening, possibly between me and her, at that astral level, because she has faith in me. So maybe, my soul could be communicating to her, healing her at the soul level. Because why is this happening, Irmila and Komal? At the physical level, there are also limitations.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And it would take time for me to reach you at that point and then wait for the pain to go. But now, like, the pace has been, really fast.
Correct.
It doesn't last a day also.
Also, Komal, at the physical level, if I have to heal you physically, then what happens is that my mind, which is conscious, logical, rational, doubting mind, comes in the way.
True.
And
Okay.
maybe
And over there, we are free.
the speed at which the healing should take place doesn't take place. So she needs
Yes.
multiple sessions physically. But at the astral space, because there is no conscious mind interfering, that limitation is broken. What happens is that astral playground, as I call it, we can communicate at the soul level,
Freely. Absolutely.
at the
Yes.
level of, let's say, an energetic exchange is taking place, right? So that is why maybe for Komal, that is the space where I need to be rather than
Okay.
physically.
So that's
So
why her problems are not troubling her. Like she has them, but they are not troubling her.
correct. They are not troubling her because she knows that if she lies down and she enters the supraconscious space, there
Yeah.
will be another energetic being,
Okay.
right, who is helping her at the energetic level. So now we know, Irmila, that there are two ways of healing. One is the conscious way of healing, right? So
Yeah.
we use, let's say, kind of affirmations, and we have allowing cards, and we do
Yeah.
past therapy, we do reiki, everything. But at the physical level, we are doing it, right?
Yes.
But the
Yes.
change is going to happen at the energetic level to heal.
Yeah. Okay.
So the pranamaya kosh is actually healing. But physically,
Yeah.
when I'm working with you or with Komal, I'm giving suggestions, I'm speaking to you, I'm saying things to you which are falling on your ears, and then you may take the suggestion, you may not take the suggestion, right? So multiple sessions are done. But what she's talking about is at the dream healing level,
Okay.
right? So you could also have shared dreams. Sometimes that is also a way people heal. Like two people lie down and then they have shared dreams, as if two people are dreaming the same thing. At that
Oh.
level, also healing can take place between the facilitator and the client, between the doctor and the patient. In olden days, this was also another way in which healing used to take place, where
Oh.
they would decide that they would be meeting in the dream, and then the doctor would be healing the patient. Yeah, this used to be there in ancient times, but I guess we've forgotten these techniques. But I can only say that Komal seems to have revived these techniques of healing. Okay, and the fact that she has reached out to me many times in dreams is a beautiful something that I think people would be surprised that this takes place. And yeah, I think we all have astral dreams. We all move in the astral space in the night when we sleep.
Yes.
And we also call it lucid dreaming, when we suggest to ourselves that we're going to heal ourselves in our dreams. So I just want everybody to know that dreams is another reality in which we live. It's not a reality that is not true. It's a reality that's equally true. And what Komal has today shared with us is how healing can take place in that reality. So it's a wonderful, and I think a lot of people out there who are healers will identify with what Komal has just shared with us, because these are the healers' lifetimes. As we know, friends, we also take, when we are a healer, we also take an oath
Yes.
to heal. And sometimes these oaths can also become difficult in our current existence because we keep feeling that we have to keep healing
Uh,
ourselves and keep healing the
others.
world. So this also gets us caught in that oath. We can also take a vow that whatever happens, I will take all the pain of somebody else because I want them to heal. And this is very common, Nirmala and Komal.
It,
When
it
people come to us,
with a lot of mothers as well. When a
yes,
child is sick, they take on the fever and of the child, so the child gets better.
correct.
So it
So
resonates. Ma.
even as a healer, what is, I mean, healers are only mothers, or mothers are healers, fathers are healers. We're all at one level wanting to heal others, right? We want the world to be a better place. All of us have these, ideas of making this world a better place.
Better.
So that is why somewhere we feel that it's okay if I'm sick, but you can't be sick.
Yes.
And with Komal, she saw a lifetime where she was an Egyptian
Yes.
princess healer, where thousands were coming to her to heal and they looked at her with faith. And now she obviously had a lot of pressure to heal everybody. So, somewhere, maybe that prayer that she would be doing is it's okay if I am not having happiness, if I am not having sleep, if I am not having a pleasure, but please give everybody pleasure. So Carl Jung even speaks about kind of archetypes. So we have these archetypal roles that we take also. In her case, she's taken the archetypal role of a wise old woman. She could have been a woman in many lifetimes as a healer or a healer. Healer itself is a archetypal role
No.
which we
Ma'am,
which
even
we
as
do
a
from
saint,
generations.
as
Yes,
a saint lifetime also, saints were involved in healing. So different
yes,
form, but
yes.
again healing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all of us, and I'm sure many people who are watching this, have definitely can definitely identify with the healer's part in Komal's lifetimes.
Ma'am,
Um,
one very beautiful thing I want to add, which I experienced after the lifetime. Like I said that, maybe some part of that star or some divine, something which has come after the session with me over here. So we do bring something from each lifetime we visit. And
Absolutely.
I think the speed at which I heal now has come from after that lifetime only. I've started having, after experiencing that lifetime, I've started having these sort of, healing dreams, and I'm able to access a lot of telepathic, communication easily. I'm able to just lie down and reach that other level of consciousness easily now. It was meditation and you visualize a sort of an auto manifestation mode
Yes, yes, that's a
after
nice word.
even
Auto.
once or it is picking up in anything that I wish to do when it comes to healing. So I
Wonderful.
think that benefit has really come along, and it's beautiful. I think I'm really blessed to have this lifetime, and I'm really blessed that I met you. It was divine. I'm sure that there was something good that I've done, that that I've been able to access you so easily, and now that I'm able to access
Yeah, so you won't
access with
allow
you
me to
so
sleep.
easily, that's a true blessing, I feel.
No, wonderful, Komal. It is a beautiful sharing that you've done today. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Uh, Irmila,
Thank you.
any last
Thank you,
thoughts
Komal.
before we wind up?
Me too.
Yeah, thank
True
you,
pleasure.
Komal. It was so lovely. And one thing, I'll try dreaming like you so I can see Ma more often and heal myself.
Thank you, Lati. Thank you
Especially
so
now
much for being here.
in this pandemic, this is the best way to heal yourself. Thank
Agree.
you so much.
Lovely.
Thank you, Ma. It
Definitely.
was beautiful. Thank you, Komal.
Thank you. Thank you,
I think the
Komal. Thank you,
community we
Irmila.
have is really.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so much,
everybody.
ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.